Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on another exciting edition of the Richard Listen Show. Today, I'm joined by actor and influencer Gregg Martin, who is hilarious, and you can see his reel all over Twitter, Instagram, and his website, ugregg.com, ugregg.com. We share an interesting overlap in recent history from meeting just prior to the tragedy of Kobe Bryant here in Los Angeles, to trying to launch new careers and ventures in film and acting right before the quarantine that affected all of us in the March of 2020. Um, he is amazing at handling how to deal with rejection, how to get into acting, his path, getting into a role, and the social media influencer realm and navigating all that. Again, I'm Richard Listens. Please check me out on Instagram at Richard Listens or patreon.com/Richard Listens. Again, thank you to our sponsors for High Impact Dental Designs, mouth guards. If you're a child or you are an athlete playing in MMA, soccer, football, boxing, or MMA, check out their custom mouth guards that will protect you uh, and keep you and your teeth preciously intact after your fight. And if you haven't been to injitsu.com, I know I've done it. I've taken a beating. Go for a 30-minute workout with an MMA fighter of your choice, and then a 30-minute Q&A to find out how they live behind the scenes. Without further ado, I look forward to introducing you to Mr. Gregg Martin. And here we are. I'm excited to introduce Mr. Gregg Martin. Gregg, thank you for being here with us on the Richard Listen Show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We were joking about our quarantine beards before we got on camera.
We were, and I might be a little biased, but I think I won.
I did take a midway shave. I went through a mid-quarantine shave about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I haven't. I was kind of like the Jewish Tom Hanks in Castaway right now.
I like it. This could be a new role for you.
It could-
Most you're looking very well groomed in a lot of your sizzle reels. You're a doctor.
yeah,
You're in the military.
a lot of shaving. Yeah, I'm gonna let it all go out. I can be a terrorist or a hostage maybe.
Well, yeah, I'm lucky. I have an 11-year-old daughter at home who decided to give haircuts before this whole thing started. So nobody could see that I had a few spots in the back. It's a good time to practice a new craft.
Yeah, it's your career for her too.
Are you like a beard groomer? Are you getting into like beard oils and things like this?
That's so funny. I ordered my first beard oil last week, and I don't know if I'm in love with it. It was like the best rated one on Amazon, had like 5,000 reviews. Yeah, it was only like $10, but I tried it and it did make it softer, but I don't know. I got like a zit, and I'm like, softer beard or a zit? I gotta.
So what are your choices now? Do you go back on the review section and give it like a 3 out of 5, or do you just go to another
No,
product? What are the
no.
options?
It did what it's supposed to do. It made it a lot softer.
Yeah,
So
it's to get rid of the itchiness, right? And the
yeah,
scratchiness.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's like a
Exactly.
club that it's like a secret club. Like if you have a beard of a certain length, like, I've been to like what's that the private movie theater. They have one up on Highland and one in Culver City. The one that's like the fancier one where you have a membership. It's not Landmark, is it?
No, Landmark's not private. On Highland, um, I don't know. Wait, are you talking like the DGA?
No, I'm not,
Director Guild? Well, that's
the
not on Highland. That's on Sunset.
no, this is the one where they don't let you in after the movie starts. This is like higher end. You can get a beer and a latte. I can't believe it's slipping my.
Oh, well, yeah, Landmark. Yeah, Landmark does that.
There's
Wait,
one ArcLight. Thank you.
ArcLight. Yeah,
There
yeah,
we go.
yeah. Oh no, ArcLight
We
you can
haven't been
still
off
walk
the
in.
island. We haven't been off the island in a few months here. So ArcLight, I went in and they got a guy who's like pouring you a beer or a latte, and he had like a beer. My friend owns Aaron's Coffee, good friend of the show, and he
Okay.
came in and he's got one down to his knees as well, and it sparks a whole conversation about like beard grooming. This is a whole new land of manscaping.
Yeah, I mean, we can just do the whole thing on beard grooming if you want.
I'm sure you could riff with it. I'm
Yeah,
sure you have.
through Hollywood.
So you now, when we met, you were going to launch several new projects. How has that gone since? Have you been able to go ahead since Corona? I mean, I know for all kinds of entertainments, filming is largely, unless you were able to do things in small groups. Like, how have you been impacted?
Yeah, filming's kind of dead right now at the moment. What I know on the commercial front, what they're doing is they're actually dropping off equipment at your place if you book something and you're shooting yourself. That's how they're kind of social distancing it. As far as like actual theatrical stuff in TV, they're still trying to figure it out. The unions are like fighting each other under like safety protocols, at least from what I've read. So it's been pretty slow for me, but what I do is I create a lot of my own content, and I actually use this time to write a lot. So I'm working on like a new TV pilot, and then I was at the beginning. No, I kind of had it done. I was finishing up like a rough edit of a TV pilot that I shot, just on spec, like for fun, called Open Relationship. And I was finishing up the editing of that like right before the quarantine.
Yeah, so I mean, you do it all. I mean, you're an actor, you're an influencer. I mean, how much of this is just the day and age that we're in, that you have to be ready to like create your own content and get it up online, and how much of it is just, just who you are?
I think you have to nowadays, although I don't consider myself an influencer. I consider myself more of a content creator, because I don't have as much influence as some other people that are like truly influencers that can like move mountains and stuff. But you kind of have to, like, it's all about building your own personal brand. And I feel the acting industry has shifted where if you're not doing your own thing, you're not like a multi hyphenate. It's not harder. It doesn't put you as in like the most advantageous light nowadays. Everyone expects that you're doing stuff other than waiting for the phone to ring, because before social media, you kind of just, I mean, you could hustle on your own, but iPhones make everything so easy to shoot with these days and knock out content, and you can still tell great stories using anything that you have at home. I mean, you could shoot a whole movie over Zoom.
Wow, a whole movie.
I mean, you
Really?
probably could, yeah. As long
I'm,
as if the story's good, the story's good. I mean,
Yeah, it's been the real gift of the quarantine for me. I mean, all of a sudden I was stuck in a room and everybody else is stuck at home. So the amount of content being created and then, experimenting with live videos and using Zoom as well to engage more and more people has been a way
yeah,
to like create. I saw a couple musicians that are inviting, they have something called like the Muse or something like that, where you can see like a concert from two musicians who are somewhere, and they kind of do it like crowdfunding, where you give a basic donation, but you're getting like a Carnegie trained cellist
that's
in
great.
your home. Yeah, so there's been some
Yeah,
beauties of how technology is being applied. Yeah.
in the acting world, they've been doing a lot of table readings. So it's scripts that uh, not even, I mean, if it's like a big movie script or TV show, it's mostly on lockdown and they're not gonna publicize it. But like if I have something that I would like to hear out loud, I can organize a Zoom table read. There's been some that have had over 100 people in them, like audience watching, and then you have the actors acting. So yeah, a lot has changed. It's definitely gone more mobile in a sense, where you don't have to be in. You always have to be in like a major city. LA being, the most prominent of acting, and yeah, you don't have to be here anymore. You can be wherever. You can be in Alaska, and you can send in an audition tape, and you can send in your scripts and take meetings over Zoom, and freeze your butt off.
I mean, do you think that what's the future going to be? Is everyone have to move to New Zealand and make all their films there for the next few years? Or
I mean, what I've what I feel is that production's not going to start up till, I mean, for an actor like myself, for the majority of actors, I don't think productions are going to start till next year. I think it's going to be a while.
so you kind of have to create a short-term game plan on projects.
Yes, and my short-term game plan is to write something new and then also work on like original characters. Um,
Yeah, and
so
I was taking a look at your Instagram. I mean, and there's a picture of you from like probably when you're 5. Did you start acting like was were you like one of the characters from the Goldbergs that like had the penchant for the craft from a young age?
I've always been I've always been interesting, but I wasn't class clown. I took an acting class in high school and nearly failed it.
Every good story starts there.
Yeah, exactly. No, I went to college and got a finance degree, and I came out of college and said, "Well, I don't want to go into finance. I want to do something to piss off my parents, so I'm going to be an actor." And it worked because they're totally pissed off.
Are they like yelling in the audience, or they don't get an invite even?
Oh no, not yelling. Just what are you doing? We didn't send you to school to become an actor. So, but now they're off my back. But it took a while.
There was like a magic number of performances where they finally like believed you were for real.
Yeah, they're like, okay, well, we're done trying to convince them to do something else. All right. Um, I mean, I've had a lot of other um, corporate-ish jobs, like side jobs and stuff like that, and I've done a lot of different things in my life, but I keep coming back to acting or creative endeavors.
Now, does that balance of having kind of the collegiate degree you can clean up nice, like help you get because you've done some commercials, right, where you've got to
Yeah.
look like the guy next door. You can't throw out your Tom Hanks and still get. You've had some looks like some major spots.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, over the past year, I did Old Spice. There's a company
That
called.
was hysterical.
Oh, thank you. Company called Pro Flowers, which is a flower delivery, big flower delivery company. Xfinity, which is Comcast, and then Pizza Hut. And actually, you don't. Commercials have over the past year, couple of years, commercials have changed where they're looking for the normal not they're looking not for an actor, they're looking for the actual person. So this look right now with the beard, it could be very popular.
In
Um,
fact, I love that we're staying on this beard theme. My friend was, as the quarantine started, he sent me a screenshot and I was like, what is that? And he goes, tell me this isn't you. And it was an eBay commercial and run out of,
okay.
run out of Toronto. And it was me.
Wait,
Because
what?
yeah, well, my daughter, I have twins and they wanted to do some spots and eBay wanted like a lumberjack look. I guess they wanted a dad, like they wanted to show a leaf blower or things you would buy on eBay.
Right.
So probably when the quarantine started, everyone was home. They were like, run the ad of like family outside buying and cleaning and using stuff. And so all of a sudden there's me dubbed with like looking like Rambo with a lawnmower, but it was because of the beard, made me like an East Coast dad. So that's my acting career.
That's great. But I mean, that just backs up what I said. Like, they're looking for real people. In the commercial world, they're looking for real people. So, yeah, it's not as actually uh, clean shaven as like some TV would be, in a sense.
Yeah. So when did you start writing your own scripts and how do you balance that out between like keeping, your agent busy and going out for things and keeping your own creative juices flowing?
So, I basically, as far as my own stuff, I kind of fell into it a little bit. I moved to this apartment complex in Hollywood. When was that? Three About 3 years ago. It's called 1600 Vine, It's on Vine Street. It's Vine in Hollywood, smack in the middle of Hollywood, right next to the Pantages Theater. Capitol Records is right there.
Nice.
You can see the Hollywood sign from there. And I basically just chose this apartment complex because I wanted to be in Hollywood. And I walk in and there's all these influencers who were famous from the app Vine making content. And
In the lobby.
literally, yeah, literally in the lobby. I remember, I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't attuned to that world. Yeah, there's literally a guy that had a skeleton, like he was holding a skeleton, and it was like on a tripod sitting up, and he was like talking to it, and there was like a camera, another tripod filming it. I'm just like, what in the world is going on? But this is interesting. And I just happened to move into this apartment complex. And basically, there was all these people making content, making their own content, write, shoot, editing their own stuff. And I said, well, I guess I could do this. I'm funny. Like, I've done some TV stuff before. Like, why don't we collab? And I basically went to these influencers, and I got rejected pretty much for a year straight. They're like, no, you don't have enough followers to like hang out with.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Welcome to the neighborhood. No banana bread for you.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So I finally got to the point where I was just pissed off, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. They keep giving me the runaround. Like, I keep seeing these kids over and over, like whether it's in like the corridor or at the gym or at the pool, I keep seeing them, and I'm like, yo, like, you don't text me back or like anything. Like, we said we're gonna do something. So long story short, I started making my own comedy sketches. I grabbed a buddy who knew how to shoot some stuff, a filmmaker, and I just made my own stuff. And it was only, I'd say, three sketches in that they like took notice. They're like, oh, Gregg actually knows what he's doing. Like, he's funny. Like, this is, he looks different, because a lot of people there are like very influencers were like model type, showing their abs and bikini pictures and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, well, Gregg, he looks a little dorky. Like, it's different. Like, okay, we could use him. So then I started collabing with them, and I started writing and shooting and editing my own stuff, and basically just teaching myself, which is very frustrating in the beginning, like trying to learn any new skill. So I just started teaching myself, and then we actually ended up doing collabs, and I've been knocking out a ton of videos, and now I'm kind of self-sufficient where I can put something together myself.
So that's pretty amazing. So just, it's really powerful, because I tell a lot of stories with people and about the power of your village, and how something is small when you move to a new town, as the building you live in, especially LA, right?
Yeah.
Of the people that you get around and what they're doing, and how that can really, rub off on you and create opportunities if you see them.
Yeah. It was pretty huge. I mean, some of them became very, very successful. The building became the hub for like influencers. People would move there from out of town, and it was almost like a mini studio. It was a very, very exciting time, until the building said you can't shoot here anymore. It was just getting too crazy with too many fans trying to sneak in the building, people like hanging off the balcony, like trying to get the perfect like selfie pic, like crazy stuff.
This is the day and age we're in, right? I mean, you had like, I don't know, my kids are always talking about the Team 10. They rented a house, and all of a sudden they were doing stunts.
Jake and Logan lived at the apartment complex.
See, yeah, and then they got a house, and then they started to like jump off the roof and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. Logan Paul and Jake Paul lived at 1600 Vine, and that, yeah, they had obsessive fans. I've never seen anything like it. The parents would come with the kids, and they would stand outside and scream at him. And this was like 7 days a week, like all hours. They would try to sneak in the building. It was I think that attributed to probably
Why they closed it down.
the ban and all. Yeah, I mean it was a very fun time, and it's unfortunate because I just the amount of creativity, it was incredible, and also just from a casting standpoint,
You had like
I needed to, this one video I did, I needed to have it needed to be a party, and so I literally walked out to the corridor and said, "Hey, I'm shooting something." And there's just there would actually be people from out of town that would drive there, sneak into the building, and just sit in the couches like outside, like waiting to be in like videos. And so I just went out there. I'm like, "Hey guys, in 20 minutes, I need to throw a party in my place. Can you guys be there?" Like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I had like 15 people in my place, and we had all these extras. It was great. Yeah, it was a very fun time, but that time has ended, and now it's, as far as like houses, now it's like TikTok houses and influencer.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about TikTok. I mean, like, how is that? I mean, that's the blowing up, right? You have like young girls getting followers. Their parents are quitting their jobs just to manage their like
Right.
careers. I mean, are you making the shift to get? I mean, how much time do you put into getting onto that platform?
I haven't attacked TikTok yet. I should have done it. I know people that did it. It's like 3 years ago, and you know they built up so quick. I still haven't gotten on it. I kind of made the decision during the quarantine, was do I write something new or do I attack TikTok? And my thing right now is to just write something new because it's just focus time. Then I'll attack TikTok.
Any hints you can give us about what you're writing?
It's pretty much just story based on my life, in my life in Hollywood, and different dating stories and my trajectory. And there's just been all these weird experiences that I've had that people tell me only happened to me. So, yeah, such
That's
as,
great.
such as, I guess, if you want one, the first acting job I ever booked was with the first acting job I ever booked was a guy who loses his hands in a car accident and can't masturbate anymore. And
Oh
he was
my
a masturbator, and how he could get through his life without masturbation. It's stuff like that where like I can't even make this stuff up. Like, how did I
Did you
get?
have a big moral choice when you were in for that? You were like, man, do I want this to be my first role? Or you were like,
No, I wanted it. I went in and I killed that audition. Yeah, it got real weird. Yeah, because he's like, okay, we're gonna do an improv right now, and you've lost your arms. Just do a dance and like pretend that you're like trying to like get yourself off without it. It was very weird. But I was destined for the role, and they cast me.
but you're
Yeah.
not afraid of, I mean, what you get a lot of comparisons. I mean, I saw you right next to Sacha Baron Cohen. I want to hear about that. But I mean, what do you get the most? Do you get Ben Stiller? Do you get Seinfeld? I saw your bit on him. Um,
It depends on the facial hair, and it depends on my haircut. It's very strange. It deviates between Seinfeld, Sasha Baron Cohen, Ben Stiller, and Adam Sandler, depending on those are the main ones, and then there's like subsidiaries of all these other people. Has Howard Wolowitz on Big Bang Theory, I get a lot. Like if I'm shaved and my hair is like to the side. Yeah, it always depends. It always like changes up.
do you mind it or do you like it? Do you think it gets you more, diversity
No,
of roles?
I actually like it. I think you got to feed into what works, and I highly respect all those guys, and I would actually, as far as acting is concerned, their careers are like are pretty much my dream careers. So I'm fine with it. I think there's a lot of actors that are like, oh, I'm only a dramatic actor. I only do this, and they might look like, let's say, they look like a comedian, but they only want to do drama. Like the people I look like is exactly what I want to do. So it's very like on par with me. So I think it's a compliment.
And what was that? What was that? Did Sacha Baron Cohen? Did you surprise him? I mean, what was that scene where you got him on camera?
Yeah. So I I decided I was gonna be Borat for Halloween. And I went out. I was working on getting the outfit, like the suit, the gray suit, and the mustache. And I kind of put on the mustache, and I was like, "Wait a second, I kind of look like this guy." Like it never occurred to me that I looked like him. And I put it on. I mean, minorly, I was like, "Oh, Borat's great character. Like, I'm gonna get a mustache and see." And I put it on, and I'm like, I kind of look like him. And I sent some pictures to my friends, and they're like, "Dude, you look exactly like Borat." I was like, "This is interesting." And at the time, I was working at a company which did stuff on red carpets, and they were able to get like press passes. They would go interview celebrities on red carpets, and basically they saw the picture and like, "You're going to the Borat premiere. It's next week. You're going as Borat." Um,
That's incredible.
so yeah, so I
Were you
basically,
excited or nervous? The pressure was.
well, no, I was excited. I was excited, but the weird thing is when you get in the like, I like when you're in a character, and especially when you're in like a character as great as like a Borat that's like really fleshed out, you kind of just got to stay in the character where it's like in your bones, and you're like, actually, you're not thinking that you're Borat, you're just are Borat. So I went to the premiere, and because we got a press pass, and I still don't know to this day if all these celebrities were walking down the red carpet, like saying hi to me. And I was basically positioned. It was like the crappiest positioning on the red carpet possible. So basically the red carpet, like the start of it, where all the celebrities' entrants are like the most famous, the biggest outlet. So it could be like E or like Access Hollywood. And then it just goes down the line until it's like internet outlets and just the worst, the like the worst reporters. And I was dead last. The space they put me, I
It's
was
barely
dead
even
last.
red anymore.
Yeah. But where I was, when you walk down the red carpet, it kind of made an L. And I was right at the point where everyone had to see me. So if you weren't, so basically, in order to walk in the movie theater, you had to pass by me, and like you had to look me, like you would just see me. So all these celebrities were like coming over to me, like Drew Barrymore gave me a hug, and like I was interviewing all these celebrities, and then like Sasha comes around, and and this was long. I was, like I said, I was in character for like 2 to 3 hours, so I was getting like exhausted over the course of the thing, because it's a lot to like stay in character for that long. Anyway, Sasha comes around, and I think I asked him if he'd go. Oh yeah, I say, "I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like to make a bong 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 in my anus, or make it with the Jew?" And he goes, "I do not understand your English," like just all upset, because I think he, like, at the point, like, he's so genius. He has the perfect response to everything. A lot of his comedy, he has writers, and they come out with, they have outcomes to situations, and they know something funny to say for any situation. They were not prepared, and he was not prepared for someone who looks exactly like him to be asking him a question. So yeah,
That's
if you look
classic.
at the video, his publicist in the back, his eyes are just like this big. He's like, "I don't know what's going on right now. Like, who approved this guy? Like, how did this happen?" It's the funniest like, I have like pictures from it. It's so funny. Like, he's just like, the publicist is just zoned out. Like, he doesn't know what's going on.
Did he
Um,
stay engaged for a while, or was it too much?
No, he stayed, well, he stayed engaged for, I want to say, about like 30 seconds. Yeah, it was fun though. But then I talked to like Isla Fisher, his wife, and she's like, "Oh my God, you look exactly like him." And yeah, it was a very fun time. And then the E Entertainment had a show called the Daily 10 Show, and they took the clip and said it was like an angry confrontation, and like media put a spin on it. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, and that led me to do some other like Borat sketch videos and stuff like that, which I got sick of doing. That's all people wanted me to like do, but I did them anyway. But like it kind of got to the point where I'm like, well, I'm more than just Borat in a sense.
Yeah, so that's a good transition right there. Like, how do you keep, like as you get more popular or more in demand in a certain role, or people like, they think, they smile, they laugh. How do you keep that compass of your own direction of where you want to see your career going, and keep refining that act, like you were saying about getting into a role and getting into character?
I think, well, the industry's interesting because they kind of like type you, and they're like, this is what you look like, this is your essence, this is the roles you're going to play. So that's kind of like your primary flavor of what the industry sees you as, and you kind of have to ride that wave in a sense, because if you look at other actors, like most of them are playing close to themselves until they become a movie star, and then they do something more wild, which is off type. So I kind of rolled with it, and it gave it kind of just gives you a way to brand yourself, or people can associate it in a sense, not as Borat, but just as well, he's like a Ben Stiller, he's like an Adam Sandler, like that kind of type. It helps people know what category to put you in.
So what's the riskiest role you've taken to challenge that role?
Ooh, that's a good question. The riskiest role.
And if you haven't, one that you'd like to play.
One I'd like to play. Well, I mean, I would love to do something with the original character where where it's like a Borat, where I go into the real world as a character and talk to real people. That'd be a dream role. I don't know how easy it would be to do these days, especially because I also look like some people that have done that. But yeah, that would be a dream role. Or anything like character based. Like I love like an Austin Powers or like a Zoolander, like that kind of stuff where a character kind of stays throughout the film.
Yeah. Do you see yourself writing films like that? Writing and acting?
Yeah, I see myself. I'm slowly getting into writing. I wasn't doing as much of it. I've written a ton of sketches, and I'm slowly getting into writing more significant, longer form stuff. So the pilot I'm writing right now will be my second, and then maybe after that I'll like write a film. But it's a process, and it's also time management. Like, what are you going to focus on? Because going back to the TikTok thing, I sat with it and I said, well, what do I want to do for the next couple months? Do I like want to attack TikTok, or do I want to write? And I said, well, I'm going to write.
How many hours a day do you give to it right now?
Well, I just started. I just made the decision 2 weeks ago, and this morning I did about 3 hours. And the past couple days, where I was more working on structure, the concept, the structure, and the characters, because I kind of start with like an outline first before I even get into any dialogue. On a daily, I probably put in, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours over the past, like, per day.
And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. I've heard from novelists like never to give more than an hour in a day, just because of how intense it is.
Well, I gotta be honest. A lot of that was frustration and me banging my head against the wall. Like, are these the characters? Included in that is like research. Like, I'm also watching other pilots and seeing the relationships between those characters, and then who can I source from my real life? How can I make this real? Like, I'm being very picky with the characters and then the relationships between them, and trying to find the right mix before I write a spec of dialogue.
Mm.
So it was very frustrating, and very frustrating last week, where I was just going over different concepts and different characters, and it wasn't coming out, and I wasn't being, the mix just wasn't working.
And
But
so how do you get yourself refocused when that's happening?
I think there's two ways. You can either pound through it, and I've actually been using this website called Focusmate, where it's pretty much you go on, you book a time, and it pairs you up with another person. It's kind of like a Zoom meeting, and and there's like a 50-minute bout of whatever you're supposed to do. So at the beginning, the first minute, you and the other person just say what your goals are individually, and then you mute yourself, and that person just sitting on your screen pretty much staring at you, like holding you accountable. And then at the end of the 50 minutes, the website dings, and you unmute yourself, and you say if you accomplished your goal or if you didn't. So like if I'm so that was me trying to plow through it, which worked and didn't work. Like I did, I said, well, I'm not leaving the computer until something comes out. And I went through a whole session kind of staring at somewhat of not a blank page, but not making much progress. So from that, I like to do two other things. I like to either just completely forget about it for the day and do something else, or I like to change location. So let's say I'm in the living room in the office, I'll go to the bedroom and then see if I can get re-inspired from that. But I before changing the location, I'll usually take like a 20-minute break.
Yeah, I mean, so much of creativity is getting ideas from what we see and what inspires us. So, like you said, pounding through a brick wall sometimes, that sounds pretty intimidating too. What if your focus mate is like staring you down? I mean,
Oh, they are. No, yeah.
can you
I
can you
love.
swipe right and left on these people too?
No, you don't even get to. You don't really get to choose them. It's kind of like if I want to book someone at 5 p.m., I just go on, and then it matches me up with someone. It's
Nice.
really a great website. It holds you accountable, and like it really like works.
Well, especially in the quarantine, so much of creativity is just feeling presence or feeling like somebody's there.
Yeah,
Uh, you
totally.
know, and focusing on smaller amounts of time. You know, I've heard a trick, even if you're going to procrastinate, like intentionally procrastinate for 30 minutes, like at least be conscious of what you're doing. You know, tell somebody, okay, I'm coming back. What did you do with your 30 minutes? Watch the
Yeah,
movie,
and
check my phone.
I think to just not put as much pressure on yourself too, to get it right or get it perfect, or it has to happen in this hour, it has to happen today. And yeah, just taking a break. Like if it's not coming out, taking a break. But if you're on a deadline, sometimes you just have to pound through and see what happens, and maybe you'll hit that inspiration in the last 5 minutes, and then you're good to go.
Have the times when you've been the most comedic and the most creative been under pressure, or have they been spontaneous?
Ooh, um, I gotta say both. Um, it's something very freeing when it's spontaneous. Like if a friend comes over and like, hey, let's shoot a video. You're gonna be outside, and I'm gonna throw a basketball at you, and you're gonna pick up the basketball, and then we're gonna have some words, and I don't know where it's going, but let's just start with that and let's just go. And like we don't know where we're going. It's like we're just jumping into the unknown. But our job is to turn it into some type of story, some type of like setup and punchline, or maybe even like a like more waves in the story or more jokes. So it's very fun to do that. But then on the flip side, sometimes when you're forced with the deadline, or you're forced, like, let's take an audition, for example. If, well, pre-quarantine, you didn't have to, you'd have to go into an audition, and you'd have an 11 a.m. audition. You'd have to go in, and you'd have to know your lines and stuff like that. And you know that you usually actually only get the script the night before, and you have a set amount of time, and you know that you better be good, and you better be prepared at 11 a.m. when you walk in there tomorrow. So you're kind of pushed to be creative. And sometimes it doesn't, even in that situation, maybe it doesn't happen. You're off, but it's very weird. It's very weird when you're like creative, when you're kind of forcing yourself to be creative, yet you have like pressure on you.
Yeah, and this is like anything where you become a professional at it. There becomes more importance on certain roles, and we desire certain things more, and we work harder for certain things. So the ability to both get in the moment and then let go of that pressure at the same time, and be what makes you, an incredible actor. At some point, like, we have to trust our
Yeah.
preparation and what got us there.
And I think at times you just have to jump head first into it. You just have to say, like, if there's an audition in an hour, like, I'm just going to go full force and give yourself the ability to screw up and not put pressure on yourself, which often, like, your best work comes out of that. Because when you've removed all the pressure, you're just like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, how this is just going to go how it goes. Like, it's usually a lot of creativity, and your best work comes out of it. So
Yeah, because there's no inhibition.
right.
Same thing as an athlete, right? If we're thinking about, I hope I don't miss it, right? Muscles start to tense up and
Right.
respond to that fear.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
you wanted to, before we sign you off for today, give a little bit to our listeners. They may be athletes, they may be entertainers, about facing rejection. How do you, you maybe you're somebody who's just coming out to LA post quarantine, right? How do you make your jump, and how do you deal with some of these rejections, whether it be people in your building or initial auditions?
Um, Rejection's interesting. I think you kind of just have to plow through it. Like I said, there's uh, if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you have an ultimate goal, nothing's really going to stop you from nothing's really going to stop you from hitting that. It's just, you're going to have to, there's a persistence factor. There's a persistence factor in acting and a lot of entertainment, that if you keep going, eventually, like, it's going to happen. Eventually you're going to get stuff. Eventually people are going to take notice. And I believe that's true. And it's kind of just, I mean, there's been so many times I've been knocked down. I'm like, I'm quitting acting. I'm done with this. And I have to take, like, time off. Like, I've taken, a month off from anything creative. Like, you just have to, refresh and recoup and just realize, okay, well, what is the game plan again? And then just reset yourself in a sense. And I think with rejection's tough. I think the acting's interesting because a lot of people say, well, if you can see it, it'll happen. Like, just think positive and just think it'll happen. And I've gone into so many auditions, and I'm like, I'm just going to think that I got the role. I'm just going to live that I've already booked it. And then a week goes by, and I've hyped it up in my mind that I booked this role, and I've heard nothing, and they've already casted it, I'm sure, 2 days after, and I'm still thinking about it for a week. And then I hear I didn't get the role. And then I'm just so crushed that I no longer put that pressure on myself. I kind of just go in, audition, do my work, and leave and forget about it. And then also just knowing that if you're creating your own stuff, you're creating your own way. So that's why I'm also creating a lot of my own content, because I'm not waiting for other people to say yes or say no. And I'm working on making my own way.
And that's really, well, that's beautiful. And that's the empowerment of all these medium, from TikTok to Zoom to Instagram, the ability to your iPhone, right? Ability to create content, to create films. A kid I used to babysit for just sent something like why he's dropping out of college, and as he was releasing his first animated film. So it's like, wow, like, now you can go out with style. It's like,
Yeah.
Did you drop out? No, I became an animator. Like,
Yeah.
so the hopefully we'll be reading about him someday. Good luck, Seba. So the power of being able to create and take ownership and authority over what you're working on. But also, like, we learned from, I think Steve Martin said he did 20 years or something like that, and the first 12 were like, doing stand-up, some in front of his friends and some in front of empty audiences.
Right.
Five of them were being really famous, and like the rest were just kind of like, being actors in other people's stuff and things like that. So
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but you can definitely put a nice body of work together over the years. Like I said, it's a persistence game. It happens overnight for very, very few people. Most people are overnight successes, but they've been doing it for 10 years.
that's right.
So,
Exactly. Yeah, right. So it'll happen overnight and you'll get it, but it's because you've been out there. So there's a certain amount of at-bats that, being willing to get up there and strike out and continually to get, step up to the plate,
yeah.
prepares you for success.
Yeah, I heard with commercials, it's like 1 in 35. You have to go on 35 auditions to like book one.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy odds if you have, and then in more of a TV film sense, if a lot of these roles they get like 5,000 submissions, and the casting director maybe calls in 50 people from that, and then from that 5 go to callback, and then 1 books it. So I mean, odds wise, 1 in 5,000, it's tough, but eventually people will take notice. And
So who's your call to when you're getting discouraged like that?
oh man, I I'm hard on myself at times, and I'm like, well, I don't need to call anyone. But sometimes I'll call acting buddies. But I've gotten to the point now where like I said, I leave it in the room. So I'm not sitting there imagining that I got the role for a week and putting all your weight into one role. It's just, I did my job. Was I happy with my job that I did? Great. It's done. They're either going to call me or they're not. Let's go focus on making my own shit in the meantime.
That's beautiful. Yeah, the ability to let go and then let yourself get ready to go to the next moment. Yeah, hanging on to things, like the over importance of each moment. It sounds like the first few dates we go on, like
Yeah.
we need it to be everything to give all this validation, and you realize like there's a lot of improvement and a lot
Yeah.
of deselection criteria that has to go on as well. Well, Gregg, yeah.
I was going to say it's tough to get to that point though, where you can literally just leave it in the room. A lot of all the acting classes and teachers are like, just audition and just leave it in the room. It's easier said than done. Like it takes a lot of auditions and time till you can get to that point where you can truly leave it in the room.
And learning how to deal with failure. I mean, like, all of us need to learn how to fail, and we get the glamorized version of success without the process, right? We don't see, like, Albert Einstein, how many years as like a patent clerk. We just see, right? I think somebody listed in the quarantine like Abraham Lincoln's track record. I think he lost like so many things, like the amount of things that he went for and lost, and then but then he won the presidency,
Right.
Like, you don't remember any of that, but
Yeah.
there's like a history of
he became what they call an overnight success.
20 years of like losing as like secretary, clerk, he tried for every government office. You kept running.
Yeah. No, yeah, persistent, persistent.
Well, Greg, thank you
Uh,
so much for being with us today. Please share with our listeners ways to get a hold of you and contact you and see your upcoming work and hopefully whatever you're working on right now in the near future.
yeah, my website is ugreg.com. You can actually spell it any way you want because I have every domain, but it's U as in umbrella, GREGG.com. That's the main spelling. And then at Gregg Martin on Instagram and Facebook. It's GREGGMARTIN. Oh wait, no, actually Facebook is at Gregg Martin Official. But
That's
yeah.
right. I got some guy in like Germany when the other Greg Martin came up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He doesn't have quite as impressive a reel as you do.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, but all my links are on my website, so it's very easy. If you just go to ugreg.com, you can find me.
Well, thank you for being available for us today, and please take a look at Greg's work. He truly knows how to bring levity into any moment, and has a host of skills to hopefully inspire you to enter the world of acting, writing. What did you call it? Not influencer, but
Content creator.
content creator. See, whichever way you want to go, or if you just want to rent a house and make lots of films.
Yeah, exactly. That's another way to do it too.
He might be looking for extras in his next film. Well, we're grateful for you, and hope to catch you soon.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That is one funny human being. Check him out. You, Gregg, UGREGG.com. Gregg Martin, everybody, whatever your field may be, content creation, acting, or performing, or being an athlete. Thank you for tuning in, seeing the hybrid of guests that are coming to us on the Richard Listen Show. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Impact Dental Designs and Injitsu, where you can train alongside an MMA fighter and get to ask him a Q&A at the same time and stay safe in your own home, both literally from COVID-19 and from getting put in some armbar of something of that nature. Trust me, I've been there. It's a fun experience. Check it out. Thank you all again. Please check me out at Instagram or patreon.com/Richard Listens. I'm Richard Listens, and I'm out. Thank you, everybody.